Welcome to InnoBuzz Java video tutorial part 14. In this chapter, we are going to talk about the database connectivity. This topic will cover connecting to databases and seeing how they work. We will know the JDBC driver, study about the ODBC driver. We will see various drivers of the JDBC, what they are and how they work. Let's see the overview of the chapter. First, we are going to talk about the Java database connectivity and the Open Database connectivity, JDBC and ODBC. We will see 4 types of JDBC drivers. We will talk about some important classes and interfaces about database handling in Java. We will see the transactions related to database handling. And at the end of the chapter, we are going to talk about the batch processing. Before we jump into the middle of the Java database handling and database connectivity, let us speak a little bit about in general about the databases. What are databases? The database is an organized collection of data. The term of database is applied to the data and their supporting data structures. This and the database management system, DBMS, are together the database system. The DBMS is a package of computer programs that controls the creation, the maintenance, and the use of the database. Most popular databases currently in use are based on the relational database model. These are named Relational Database Management Systems, RDBMS. Why is it important to us now? Because we will connect to RDBMS from our programs. There is another thing that we need to speak about. This is the SQL, the Structured Query Language. It is a special purpose programming language designed for managing data in relational database management systems. With this language, we can insert, update, and delete data, and we can make queries. SQL also includes the schema creation and modification and data access control. We need to understand this because we will control our data in the database from our application with SQL commands. JDBC and ODBC. The JDBC driver is the Java database connectivity. It is a software component that allows our Java application to interact databases. The JDBC driver implements the protocol for transferring the query and result between client and database. They have 4 categories, and we will know each of them in more detail. The ODBC, Open Database Connectivity, is a standard C programming language API for accessing database management systems, DBMS. The ODBC driver works as a translation layer between the application and the DBMS. The application uses ODBC functions, and the driver passes the queries to the DBMS. Applications can access any DBMS for which an ODBC driver is installed on. Drivers exist for all major DBMSs. Let's see now the 4 types of the JDBC drivers. Type 1. JDBC ODBC bridge. This driver implementation employs the ODBC driver to connect the database. The driver converts GDBC method calls into ODBC function calls. This is useful when we want to use Java language to connect to a database which supports ODBC. The advantage of it that it can be used to any database for which implements ODBC driver. The disadvantage is the speed. Maybe it's slower than other drivers. It makes our program platform dependent because the ODBC driver must be installed on the client. The native libraries of the underlying operational system the GVM is running on. Type 2. The native API driver. This driver uses the client-side libraries of the database. The driver converts the GDBC methods into native calls of the database API. We will use this one. The advantage of it, this is faster than type 1. The disadvantages of it, that it doesn't support all databases. The driver library needs to be installed on the client, and it is platform dependent. Type 3. Network protocol driver. It is used in multi-tier architecture. This is a kind of client-server architecture. The application server converts GDBC calls directly or indirectly into the database protocol. This driver is written in Java. The multi-tier architecture may have more than one drivers, and one of these drivers can be used for multiple databases. The advantages of this, it is platform independent, so we don't need library on the client. The disadvantage, needs more database specific coding in the middle tier. Type 4. The native protocol driver. This driver implementation converts GDBC calls directly into vendor-specific database calls. This driver is written completely in Java, and it is installed inside the GVM. The advantages, it is platform independent, it doesn't translate the request and connect directly to the database, so it is faster. The disadvantage, drivers depend on the database. Important classes and interfaces. For writing an application that interacts database, we use the java.sql package. Firstly, let's see how we can establish a connection with a database. In this package, there is a driver manager class. We use the static getConnection method of this driver manager class. We have to give to this the URL of the database, our username, and our password in arguments as strings. This URL starts with GDBC. It may be followed by the subprotocol that specifies where the GVM should search the database. In a directory, in memory, or in a jar file, and so on and so on. Or the host and port of the computer that is hosting our database. After it may come the name of the database, followed by some attribute and value, for example specifying directories to store logging and tracing information. The order depends on the type of the database that we want to connect into. This method will return with an instance of the connection interface. We will use this object for creating statements. The connection interface has three methods for it. The create statement method for SQL statements with no arguments. The prepare statement method for SQL statements that might contain input parameters. It returns with an object type that is the prepared statement interface. And the prepare call, used to execute store procedures, it returns with an callable statement interface. To execute this statement, use method of the statement interface. The execute, it returns true if it has the right result set object that contains the result for the query. We can get this by calling the statement getResultSet method. Execute query. It returns the result set object. Execute update. Returns an integer representing the rows affected by the SQL statement. It is used when update, insert, or delete are executed. The result set object. It is a cursor that contains the result of the SQL query. It isn't a database cursor, it is a pointer. For processing, there are some useful methods: next, getInt, getString, getFloat, and so on and so on. When we are processing statements and getting the result set object, we should surround it with the try-catch block, because it may throw SQL exception. We are going to talk about the transactions now. What are transactions? The transaction is a unit of work when we are doing something with database. The transaction has to be independent of the other transactions, and they have to keep a database consistent even in cases of system failure during the processing. They have to provide isolation between programs accessing a database concurrently. By definition, transactions must be the following. The properties of them is atomic. In an atomic transaction, a series of database operations either all occur or nothing occurs. They have to be consistent. Consistency states that only valid data will be written to the database. If, for some reason, a transaction is executed that violates the database's consistency rules, the entire transaction will be rolled back and the database will be restored to a state which was consistent with those rules. On the other hand, if a transaction successfully executes, it will take the database from one state that is consistent with the rules to another state that is also consistent with the rules. They have to be isolated. Changes made by one operation become visible to other concurrent operations. They have to be durable. It guarantees that transactions that have committed will survive permanently. For us, a transaction is a set of one or more statements that is executed as a unit. If we execute a statement, after it, the changes will be committed automatically. We can disable this with the set auto commit with false argument. Of the connection interface, this is one of the methods. In this case, we should call commit method explicitly if we want to save the changes. We can set and release save points and do rollback too with the connection interface. When we set a save point, we can create save point object with a name or a nameless in the current transaction. Batch processing. If we execute many SQL statements from our application, it may cause communication overhead with the database and makes our program slower. The batch processing solves this problem. We can group our SQL statements into batch and submit them with one call. But actually, not all drivers support batch processing. We have to call the support batch updates method of the database metadata interface to detect if the driver supports this feature. The batch processing is very easy. We have to create a statement or a prepared statement object. We should disable the auto commit as we have learned. After this, just call the add batch method of the statement with a string argument that contains the SQL statement. So this is the way to group the statements. We can call this method more time with other SQL statements. This is the batching. If we do a prepared statement, we should set the arguments of the SQL command before each add batch method calls. We can execute these with the execute batch method. This returns an integer array representing the rows affected by each SQL statement. We can also remove statements from the batch with the clear batch method. And finally, don't forget to commit the changes of the statements. We are going to do some practice on database programming here in the NetBeans IDE, some Java language database programming, and I have set up a simple test project here, which is empty. We are going to start from an empty thing, and what we need here to be able to show some database management stuff and coping with databases is actually a database. We have to work with a database, and we are going to connect it through a driver manager, use a JDBC connection. Actually, this video tutorial is about Java language, not really about databases, so we cannot spend much time on creating databases and installing and talking about the SQL language and generally about database management systems and so on and so on. But although this is true, I've decided to show a few things. If someone wants to start and doesn't really know much about databases but wants to try it, just a few steps. to be able to start. And we are going to use MySQL database here, which is free to use and very easy to download and install on the computer. We could use, of course, some other databases if we have the possibility to connect to a remote database, if we have the password or anything, or we can create one on our computer, of course, an Oracle database or anything. If we have it on our computer, we can use it. We have the MySQL here. I have already downloaded and set it up, but I'm going to show some steps how to do it. I will download it from the internet or show how to do it, and then we are going to start it. If we come here to dev.mysql.com /download/mysql, this is the site where we can start the downloading, or we can search on the internet through an engine like download MySQL or something, and we can see that is MySQL is an open source software. Okay, and we can download it, the different versions here, depending on what kind of operating system we have. I cannot show all, of course. It's for Windows and for 32 bits the operation systems. So if I press download, this is the newest version. We can use previous versions as well, and we get here to this site, and you can enter these, but you can skip it. Just no thanks, just start my download, and this will download an MSC file, and if we start it, we will get an installer wizard. I'm not going to do this. I have already done this. I have set it up. There is another page where you can follow the whole thing. It's very detailed, step by step. This is the www web developer's notes, how to install MySQL Windows 7 PHP, and you can see step by step here how to do it. This goes to the same site as I've shown. There are lots of pictures here that show what to do, which MySQL installer file to download, which to choose, and then how to set it up in the wizard step by step, and then configuring it. This is not very complicated. It can be done in 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, this we don't need because we are not working on PHP, but yes. And if we have done this, then we have the access to our MySQL database, and we can start using it. What I'm going to show is how to use it from the NetBeans. Here, so the NetBeans has some functions that are built in to use databases. So if we come here to services and open it, we can see that there are the databases, servers, and lots of things. But if we have these databases, then we will see after the installation that we will have here the MySQL server at our local host, the port that we have set up during the installation. And this is what we are going to use here. I have set up a database, the Inno database, for our testing stuff. If we come here, we can connect and disconnect. We can create database here. I've created the database like this, for example. Just enter database name and it is done. Well, I've already done this. And this is our database, the Inno database. What I need here is to connect to this database to be able to do things. It asks for the username and the password. Well, during the installation, you have to set it also. I use the same thing, the root here. And this is also the password, root. And we have already entered it. So the password and all the things you can set during the installation if you follow the steps on the website. And we already have this Inno database here. We can see the tables and everything, the views. Well, they are empty. Of course, I don't have tables and I don't have anything. I can do anything. I can create the tables and I can make inserts and I can do anything here. I can execute the commands and we get a SQL command window here. So I can write anything in SQL language. We will try this out. Now I am going to create a table. Now this is a very useful GUI window where we can set tables easily. I call this person and I can add the columns. Well, let's create a very simple one. Let's create an ID, which is going to be an integer, and this is going to be our primary key. So this is going to be unique, and it cannot be null. Well, this is mostly what we need. Yes. And let's create something else like name. This is enough now. Yeah, this is going to be varchar 200, and well, no problem. It can be null or something. Okay. This is a very simple way to do it, and we have already got this person. Of course, it's going to be, we can see the ID, the name, the indexes, the primary key is the index, the ID, no foreign keys. Okay. We can view the data. It's already an SQL command, select start from person. Of course, there's nothing in it. We are going to put some data in it later on. So this is one of the ways that we can use from the NetBeans. This is a built-in system, a built-in structure, how we can reach the database. We can see the drivers here that are already working. The JDBC ODBC bridge, MySQL connector, we are using this now. So also for Oracle plane. So these are the drivers that are used by the NetBeans IDE to reach the databases, different kind of databases. Well, this is a basic knowledge, but this is only one of the ways that we can reach. This is not programming, this is not coding. In fact, we can do it like by hand here, but if we want to do it automatically, and if we want to send codes to other places where they can run it and create the whole thing, we have to use the code version. Of course, I want to show that. We are going to connect, make some connections through the code here. To be able to do that, we have to download some further things. This is the MySQL connectors here, if we are using MySQL. Of course, we can use other things, as I've mentioned, but now on my computer we are using this MySQL thing. We can see the connectors here to the ODBC driver, the C++, C, MySQL connector for OpenOfficeOrg, and so on and so on. We are using this GDBC driver for MySQL connector G. I've already downloaded it. I'm just showing it. It has the same window as the other, and we can download a zip or a tar. And what we have to do is simply to unzip it into our MySQL library, and we can use it. What we have to do is if we come here to our, well, I've more connectors here, but if we come inside this connector, and this is the inside the zip, this is the parts, you can see that there are some README files and some documentations that are very useful to, if you have time to read them over, and of course the sources as well. But the most important for us is this MySQL connector Java, and the version and so on, the jar. So the jar file is that we need for the NetBeans to be able to use this GDBC driver from the code. And the way that we have to set it here, I'm going to show. If we come here to databases and go to the properties, no, yeah, so here are the properties, yes. So we have to come here in the files, and on the project name, and on the properties, we have these libraries here, and we have this window where we can add this jar. So we can add this jar like this. Add jar files, we come to the place where it is. It is in this library, this, and we can add it. I've already added it, and if you press OK, then it is going to be added. So from now on, the NetBeans will know, and the GVM will know that we are going to use this. This is very important because this is going to be the connector for us, which we will use in the Java code. And now we can begin to write the code. Well, okay, start. We create a connection. This is going to be null. Yes, and as in the most of the last chapters, the whole thing is going to be in a try-catch block, because we are going to get some exceptions here. But the first thing is the connection that we were talking about, we have to call the class for name with this, and the string that we need here is com.mysql.gdbc.driver. You can find this in the documentation that we have to use it this way. This is just a rule. It can be done like this. This is the way we are going to create it. I need an import here. Import java.sql. Store. No, I don't need this array. Okay, that's it. And to be able to try it, I'm catching exceptions here. Well, catch. The SQL exception. SQL exception. And I use the print stack trace as usually, and I'm also catching some general exceptions. That's it. Yes, we are done. But the problem, yeah, it's never thrown, of course. We will throw it, so don't worry. Okay, I'm going to write this. The connection is going to be the following. We instantiate like this. We have the driver manager, as we have talked in the slides, and use the get connection with the string URL, and this is what we are going to use here. Now, this is going to be interesting also. Our name, well, we can a little bit cheat and look at here, because we are going to use this string, or almost the same thing. So we have the name here, GDBC, the database is type and name, MySQL, and the host is the local host. And the port, we have already told is this. That is what we have set up during the installation. And the name of the database is inno database. Just like here. Inno database. And at the end I have to use the question mark. It is important. Okay, and what else do we need for this? Also we have to get the user. The user is root, as you have seen, and also comes here an and sign, and password is root also. So that's it. That is the way to make the connection. Well, about these you can read in the documentation that I have shown. Why are they look like this? Of course, with a different database, on a different system, using different things, they will be different. But on my system, it's like this. We have the username and the password here, and of course, we have to give the name of the database and the things. Well, I am already trying this out because see if we have an exception or something. No, it's okay, it's working, it's good. So it could connect. And this is good news. Because if something is not okay, then it can take a lot of time to find it out. Okay. What we need to do to be able to write SQL commands is to create a statement. I initialize it to null. The other thing is a result set. This is going to help us to cope with the results that we get from our database. This is also null. So this is the beginning. So this, okay. And let's make the most, the easiest thing here. Well, just write this is going to be a string, like command, and this is going to be well, we use the uppercase letters, but it's if you're using the SQL commands, but it's not obligatory, but this is just a convention. So select everything from the person. That's it. To be able to run this command, we do the following. The result set that we are going to get back from calling the execute query, but before that, we have to create the STMT, the statement. The statement is the connection that we have here, the driver manager stuff, and create statement. That's it. From now on, we have this statement object that we can work with. So the STMT execute query and the command, yes, that means helped me. So we have the statement object, we have the execute query method, and the argument is a command which is string, and this is it. It's a very simple SQL command here. And the way to look over what we have got, we are going to use a while cycle. This is the general way, while the result set has next. This is going through the result set and just write out what we have got here. Result set, object dot get string, get string, get string. Yes, and of course there are more methods for here, but we can give, for example, the name of the column, like the ID. Here we are going to get a string, what's in there. This goes through all the rows that we have got, and this ID and the ID, this is the ID and the value. This is not going to be the most beautiful, but okay, the value is also the rs dot get string. Yes, and we use now the name, because these are the columns in our person, as we can see here. The person has this. This is also good for helping us to look around what is happening in the code. When we change something, we will always check it. Okay, this is it. This is the what we need to be able to look around a little bit what we have got in here. I save it and I run it. Actually, we will get nothing because there is nothing inside this. Nothing inside this one. Okay, let's put something there so we will be able to let's see what is there. Okay. Okay. This time we are going to create a string that is going to be the command 2, and this is going to be the following. Insert into what's the name here? Person, and the ID and the name. ID and name pairs, that is we are going to give here. Okay. All right, and well, put it in a. No, I will use the for cycle later. I just simply add some things like insert into, yes, and values. This is the way to do it. Values and some data. Well, you need this kind of, yes, some data. This is going to be the name, and the ID is 1. Yes. Okay. Now, to be able to use this is the st sorry, that execute update. Execute update. you can see that there are the execute methods, and we will use the execute update here just with the command 2. No, command 2. Yes, and yes, it gives us the rows that are affected. This is good to use it. And rows, we get back the rows, and we can simply write them out. That rows affected. Okay, so we have the rows here just to be able to see how many lines we have. I save it, I run it. Rows affected 1. So we have got one row. Of course, the select is before it, so we cannot see it. No problem, I will run it again. I just change this to 2, and so data 2. Just for beginning, this is going to be good. I save it and I run it. Okay. Yeah, we have got the first line, and we have already added another one. So this is just to show how it starts. Okay. Well, we are not going to use this part from now on for a while. What we will use, I comment this out. I also want to create new tables from here, so we are going to make the create table. The command 3 is going to be the following: create table. The name is stuff by ID, and I've found out a way like ID, integer, not null. These are common SQL things. So this is going to be an auto increment, so we'll automatically increment the ID, and this is the same thing that we have done in this left side panel, but if you write it this way, then we have to write everything down. Primary key, yes, and well, some more things. Worse, this is going to be the data. The field here is the column is the data, which is going to be a varchar 200, just like the other, and well, to show something else is there is a timestamp which I call created timestamp. This is going to be the time, and it has a default which is now. So the moment that it is created, and also an integer which is amount. Okay, amount integer. I hope it is okay. So we create a string here that we are going to give to the SQL, and we have the same thing. So I use this. This is going to be also an execute update, just like this. Okay, and we're going to use the command 3, and that's it. Let's have it row 3, so we are not have problems with the same names. Okay. So we are going to create a table like this if everything is okay. I have saved it. I run it. Well, there's a no pointer exception at 0. Yes, because I commented this out. I shouldn't have done this. Okay. Okay, I don't need this. The create statement is very important, of course. Well, I hope it is okay like this. I save it. I run it. Oh, this is even a bigger exception. It's in line 22. Syntax error syntax exception. Inside the text we have some kind of exception. I have to check it. Stuff ID. This is I think I shouldn't have put this here. We open this bracket here, and that NetBeans helps me that this is the end. We have a comma here, and we are adding. I hope it was the problem. Okay. Rows affected 0 because we are not affecting rows, we are creating a table. If we'll see it here, if I refresh it. Yes, it is stuff by ID, and it has got these fields: ID, data, created, amount, and stuff like that. Okay, so this is, for example, creating a table. Okay, I will comment this out because I'm not going to create it all the time. We will insert now things in it in a faster way, just using a for cycle to be able to do it quickly. I use an integer. This is the 0, comes from 0. The e is smaller than 30 I++. What we will do here is simply creating a string, which is going to be command 4 for us, and insert. Well, I copied here. I hope I can use it a little bit. So insert into our new stuff by ID. And we have got the ID. We have got more things here. Well, because it is auto increment, for example, I don't have to give the ID here. If I just leave it like this, then it's going to be okay. So I don't even need this, the ID. I need the data. I also don't need the timestamp because it has a default now. So the data and the amount that I'm going to give here. So if I specify it here, then it's no problem. So the values are the following. Insert into, well, first the data. It's going to be some data. Of course, I want to have differences all the time, so I put the I here inside the string. Some data 1, some data 2, and so on and so on and so on. Yes, and I close this like this, and comma. We are inside the string now, and I continue on with, for example, let's do something like I plus 25. This is going to be the amount here, and I also add the ending bracket. I hope we have everything here. We start this upper comma. Here I have it the end, and comma here. Well, we will get an error if something is not okay. Yes, it is already not perfect. Okay. Well, use insert into. Yes, because I forgot the plus here. Yes. So this is hard to see when we are adding strings together. We can miss something very easily. Okay. So now we have the same thing, just this. Okay. And of course I will use the command for the same number here, so we cannot miss it. This is going to be, we will see how many lines we get here. I hope everything is okay. I save my file and I run it. Rows affected, many rows. Okay. Let's see. Let's refresh it and let's view the data. And if you select all things here, we can see that we have the IDs, we have the created time, inserted, and we have the amounts here. Let's start from 25. So this is some data inside the database. Okay, this is cool. Also, I want to show an update quickly. Yes. Okay. Let's make an update. This is going to be similar, so I copy to be able to do it quicker. Okay, this is going to be comment 5 here, and update. This is going to be the update. So if you want to change something in our table, we have the table name here, and so update stuff by ID, and we have to use set. For example, data to some kind of new data, and we have got very close here, where ID equals to 5, for example. That's it. So this is going to be our comment here. Update stuff by this, set data, new data where ID is 5. So we are going to do this. Rows 5 is going to be execute update command 5, and I'm going to write that the rows 5 here. Just quickly try it. This is an update. One row is affected, and if we check it here, new data, that it has in the new data here, this new string, we change it. So it's working, it's okay. Nothing else has changed. Okay. And also we are going to have the delete. I'm going to show it as well. This is going to be comment 6, and delete from, so delete from stuff by ID, and we only need the where ID is 7 or something, and of course this is going to be row 6, comment 6, we see row 6, and check it. Yes, the 7 is gone, so 6 and 8, so it is deleted, as we can see. So that's it. Okay, these are the most common things that we can do to be able to do this. Actually, I want to show one more thing here. So the main thing about this whole thing that we can reach the database. We can do anything with it. We can create things and of course create the tables and everything. But this part is mostly done by scripts when we are working with databases. The data manipulation is more likely to work with the programming. So we get some data from the database, and we are making some operations on the data, some countings or maybe some mathematical stuff, or changing the data in some higher programming level way. For example, some statics and things like that. Statistics. I hope I pronounced it the right way. And then we can write it back to the database or get some data from one table and put it to another. So do things that really need programming. In fact, I'm going to show something like little bit working with this is I'm going to copy some data from one table to another one. And to be able to do this is we are going to create a string, which is command 7, I think, here. And this is going to be a simple select. Select everything from our stuff by ID. Stuff by ID. We will have all the rows from here, and we will work on them. Yes, and we will execute this query, just like here. I'm copying. We are executing this, and we are going to create some interesting things here. So, as we can see, we have got a result set here. It comes back with all the rows. Now I'm going to show a different technique to create a longer string to be able to insert. So we will have a string here. This is going to be our comment here. Command 8. And this is going to be something like the following. Insert into persons, person. Insert into person the ID and the name pairs, because in the person we have got these, the ID and the name, and the values will be the following. And this is just the starter string values. The rest of the string will come from this cycle. This is a while cycle. While cycle. Result set. Next. And this is going to only contain one line. That command 8. Command 8. Okay. And I'm going to add some strings, so concatenate here. And this is the new line character here. Okay, new line, and we are beginning this bracket. And what we have got here is plus and rs dot get string, the ID, of course. We have the ID here, and then we have got the signs that are missing, also the comma and the upper comma, and we are adding the rs dot get string with the data. So we are using these two columns from this. Okay, and we are finishing this with with the upper comma and the closing bracket and that's it. Well, this is going to be our string that we are going to make, but before we use this, this is going to be the best to write it out, so we can see that what is inside that. If we made some error or something, so first just write it out, and we can see what we will give to the SQL, MySQL here. Yes, this is it. This is almost good. This is an insert, and this is a multiple insert. So we have the insert, and the values are the multiple values followed here. Actually, this is not good yet, because we need a comma here, and the end of every each line. Let's try it like this. Okay, we have the comma, but this is still not perfect, because we will need a little trick. Command 8 is going to be the command 8 dot. I'm going to make a substring beginning from 0 until the last line. So I don't need the last comma. That is why I do this trick. Now let's try it. I save it and I run. Now this is the perfect insert string. All the commas, and at the end we don't have the comma. It's better to try it, because we are going to get an exception other ways. So okay, and now I can use the things that we have already used here. Okay, rows 8, command 8, rows 8. That's it. We are going to execute this update. Execute update. So we are going to copy some things from the one table to another one. I hope it's working. Save and run it. Ooh, we have got an exception at the line 27. This is not good this way. Yeah, the duplicate entry for 1. This is the problem, because we have already got some data inside, and we wanted to use the same ID as it's already there. So that's why we got an error. As I've told, the ID is unique, so it cannot be the same. The two rows cannot have the same ID. Well, I simply truncate the thing, so I delete everything from here, so we can do it for the test. Okay, like 29 rows affected, and if we view the data here, we can see that the parts of the data from here, from the stuff ID, these two columns, the ID and the data, are simply copied here, for example. So this is the way to get a connection here, and to work on data with the databases, and we can make select, and we can get data from the database. We can work with it. Of course, I can change it here. For example, I could change it here. I could change the ID, or I could change the data. I could work on it, for example, what I want here in the code, and then I can put it back or put it in another data structure. So this is the way we can program the databases from the Java.